What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, it is literally like 3 a.m. over in Dubai right now, and you can tell my voice is a little bit messed up from the traveling, from the weather, and the differences in the temperature. But guys, I couldn't sleep. I was having a look at the charts, and I had to bring you this update because Bitcoin has literally pumped over 30% actually in the last 48 hours. And on some exchanges, it even got as high as 36,000. Now, you know that we've been very, very bullish on Bitcoin, regardless of the ETF approval or not. We had that fake ETF sort of news that came out, price completely retraced, and now we're obviously putting in a much higher high. So I want to make this video short and sweet, guys. As you can tell, my voice is a little bit shot, but I had to get this update out to you because, man, I feel sorry for these bears right now. I'm going to go over everything that's going on right now, why we're actually seeing this pump. There is some news that came out, and it is pretty big. So we're going to dive into all that. It's going to be a super quick video. Like I said, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning over here, but I couldn't leave you guys hanging. So let's dive in. Let's have a look. So super quick, if we just come over here and have a look at CoinCatch, you could see that basically once we reclaimed this resistance right here as support, it was pretty much off to the races after that fake pump. We have more than blown this wick out of the water. And yes, we have had a little bit of a pullback. There is some volatility, but you can see right here, for example, over on CoinCatch, we got up to about 35,877. And on some exchanges like futures, we've actually already seen Bitcoin go up as high as actually $36,000. So the big thing, as I've been talking about for quite some time, is breaking this massive multi-year downtrend where we had this parallel channel holding us down here. And then, of course, we had all of these moving averages right here, which tried to hold us down. We had a 25% dip. And then you can see right here, we did get back above it, and we have, in fact, closed a daily candle above it. So this is huge. This is definitely the first step in having that major reversal for Bitcoin. So what exactly is going on? Well, I'm going to get into the charts, obviously, but you can see, like Eric Belchunas pointed out over here, the iShares Bitcoin Trust has been listed on the DTCC, which clears NASDAQ trades, and the ticker will be IBTC. Again, all part of the process, bringing the ETF to the market. So this is obviously BlackRock, right? And you can see also that according to Scott Johnson, you can see that they've obtained a CUSIP in prep for a launch. So basically, what they're doing is called seeding. Now, he says, doesn't want to read into it too much. It's nothing too crazy, but essentially seeding right here, an ETF is when initial funding is provided, typically by a bank or broker dealer, used to purchase a few certain units, in this case Bitcoin, in exchange for ETF shares, which can be traded in open market on day one. He does go on to say that seeding is typically not a lot of money, just enough to get the ETF going. So obviously this isn't BlackRock necessarily that's pumping the market, but the market is in fact reacting to this news. Also, just to mention that we had a U.S. judge instructing the SEC to re-review the grayscale request for a spot Bitcoin ETF, and we are seeing massive pushback against the SEC. In fact, SEC Commissioner Hester was over on Squawk Box, and well, let me just play the clip and let you know what she had to say about the ETF approval.
The state of some of these regulations around crypto really stand right now. There's been so much speculation, even in the past several weeks, about where a Bitcoin ETF might land. There was a moment, as you I'm sure recall, where a report came out erroneously, apparently, that one would be approved. That would be the BlackRock one. But a view that, given some of the things that have happened in court recently with the SEC losing, that maybe the SEC is now more open to approving one of these types of funds. Is it?
Well, I can't say whether or not the commission is ready to approve a Bitcoin exchange-traded product. I've been thinking we should approve one for the last 5 years. So the logic for why we haven't has always mystified me. The court case obviously is an important factor in the landscape, but I can't guess as to my colleagues' approach to this topic. I really can't speak to what we're going to do on the Bitcoin exchange-traded products. I can say that generally the agency has not been very good when it comes to anything related to Bitcoin or other crypto assets. And look, I hope that every day I hope that they'll wake up and they'll think, you know what, we need to take a more productive approach. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm, of course, hoping that it will.
And she also added that there was a lot of interest, particularly in this type of a product.
But I guess the question is, should the public take anything away from the fact that a BlackRock or a Fidelity or somebody of that size, scale, perhaps reputation, is applying for these things, that somehow is validating this space in a way that perhaps maybe some of the smaller firms that had applied for such types of funds earlier did not?
Well, I think it's a reflection of the fact that there are a lot of firms that think the public is interested in these kinds of products. Again, people have to be careful about trying to read the tea leaves of what agencies are doing, and I'm not going to contribute to that. I'm just going to say that, obviously we're seeing more and more interest from firms in these products, and I hear a lot of interest from investors in these kinds of products as well.
So hopping on over to the charts, you could see that over here. Remember, we were a little bit worried about pumping a little too hard over the weekend, but we actually got lucky, and we did not, in fact, put in a CME futures gap, which completely explains why the price was able to continue to the upside over on futures. And also, the other thing quite interesting is we had this CME futures gap up here way back from May of 2022, and you could see that we actually attempted to close it. Now, we didn't quite get all the way up to the top of it, but this does just go to show you how these gaps do end up playing out over time. Now, if we come over here, another thing that I had mentioned was when we look at this super guppy, remember that when we come out of these bear markets, we tend to have this area of neutral, and then what happens is we flip into this area of sort of cyan color right here, and then that's usually followed by the green. And once you get that green, as you guys can see, you tend to stay in it for a very, very, very long time. Obviously, with this exception right here of the good old COVID crash where, obviously that was a black swan event, but let's be honest, had that not happened, there would have been a very good chance that this would have probably just stayed all green in here, right? And it would have just connected like that. So if we come over here and have a look at what we're doing, guys. We're actually starting right here to flash on some of these EMEs into the light cyan, and we know that usually speaking, we do end up going into the green after that. And, something that I try to explain to people is, once these candles start moving, you can have quite parabolic runs. Now, do I believe that we're necessarily in the parabolic phase just yet? To be completely honest, no, I don't. And I don't mean to let anybody down. I just don't think we're in the parabolic phase just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit more consolidation. However, the fact that we had this signal flashing right here on the hash ribbons at about 24,879, based on the previous statistics and based on what we tend to do, there is a very good chance, in fact, there's around an 88% chance that we will not see Bitcoin go below those levels again, which means that, unfortunately for the bears, you're probably not going to get your $20,000, $12,000, $10,000 Bitcoin. If anything, you might get a retest back around, the 25 to 24.8-esque area. But again, the one thing that we had spoke about was that Bitcoin had been forming this giant falling wedge pattern for years, right? And patterns, they don't always play out exact, but there is a higher probability of having a falling wedge breaking out to the upside, right? And even if we take it to the bump and run retest, right? So we're not even going to take the highest level. We're gonna actually go a little lower here. Take it from the retest. You could see that still puts Bitcoin anywhere, between roughly 47 and a high of around $53,638 target. And a lot of people thought that we were crazy when we had pointed out this price target. But as you can see, ever since we've had that breakout, look at this. We've done nothing but put in higher highs and higher lows, right? You can see right here, higher highs and higher lows. And of course, discussing the, obviously this EMA ribbon, we've never had the ribbon have a fake out invert to the downside and then move to the upside. And we were able to actually avoid that right here with this move. So, even if you think we do need to go back down to some of these levels, could we go back down to the 25.3 Terra Luna? Sure, it's possible. But, historically speaking, this tends to really hold generally once we get above it. The only time, we touch it a little bit here, sometimes we fall back into it. So, worst case scenario, if you think we need to go back into the bottom, well, the bottom of that range is around 27,300. And, if I zoom in right here, We don't actually have full 100% confirmation, but we're very, very, very close. I would say within a couple more weeks, we would have full on reversion, basically, of this. And, the other thing to point out is that we are above the 200 weekly, which has historically been, as you guys can see, it was the bottom back here. We closed above it for COVID, and it's been a really significant resistance / support. So, again, all of these levels are starting to coincide with each other. Now, the one thing in which why you could argue that Bitcoin could be potentially getting slightly overheated is just simply because we're retesting this bottom range of the support of this major sort of year and a half bottom, right? And we do know that when you have this much support and you attempt to come back into it, it acts as resistance. Now, every single time we've come into this box, we've creeped up a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, right? But you can see right here, after this, this pretty much shows you that Bitcoin could really move up really fast to about the 41,000 area, which is kind of why I'm not sure if that will happen. It is a lot of exuberance, and if you do have a look at what's going on, it's not necessarily new money that's really coming into Bitcoin. It's been a lot of the altcoins shifting in to Bitcoin, so it's more of reshuffling of the funds. But, again, just talking about that momentum, talking about the money flow specifically into Bitcoin, we obviously have a much higher, trigger wave on the downside, having this money flow move to the upside versus this smaller wave. So, and again, I want to just point out, guys, that at some point we are going to have a pullback, and you can kind of see right here that we may be forming some form of a wave, but the question is how high does this wave go? You can kind of see it looks like it's looking to go a little bit vertical. So if that's the case, then we may completely invalidate this and have a lower wave. And honestly, we may just keep continuing to the upside. So we definitely have to see. But ultimately, what is driving this? Well, of course, you do have the technicals, but like Will Clemente points out, rumors of SEC communicating with potential Bitcoin ETF issuers, issuers update filings. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF listed on the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. Judge orders SEC to revisit Grayscale spot ETF filing. The signs are all there. It's coming. Now, of course, as I have been telling you guys, I don't necessarily think that we are at that parabolic stage just yet. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did have somewhat of a correction at some point, a little bit of sideways, retest some of those key levels. We usually don't tend to have those parabolic runs until after the halving, right? But maybe this time is different. So just wanted to bring that update to you guys super quick. Thanks again for coming back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful and awesome day. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, guys, if you do want to learn how to trade, we've had lots of time to practice. Check out the tutorials popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.